Today I thought I'd do things a little differently. I'm going to stop and draw and paint at this scene here, which I come to often. I like the way the colors look today. I like the way these greens and yellows and blues come together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw and then paint, and I'm not going to record the whole thing. I'll just stop every so often and show you where I've got to and maybe make a few comments along the way. So let's see how that goes. I really like this Strathmore paper that I happened to find at a yard sale that I bought from the estate of an artist who died, and he's a local artist, but he did some really great things, and he had a lot of interesting art supplies. I should have bought all of the pads of paper that he had there, but I only bought a few. But anyways, this is really interesting kinds of, there are pads with different sort of samples of Strathmore paper in there, and it's all really nice. So I'm using it up for these little paintings, and I just made a very brief drawing, and we'll see what I do with this. This paper, a lot of the paper is different one from the other. This one has more texture, and I don't particularly like the way that texture responds to the paint. It looks really nice just a drawing on it, but we'll see what it does with the paint. So I'll put a little paint on this and see what happens. Again, that scene is just so lovely today. Oh, look how great the sky looks. I'm not going to get all that, of course, but we'll get a bit, get a little touch of it. So painting next. Well, I'll show just a little bit of this messing around here, putting a wash on. I'm putting a different kind of wash on today. I'm putting a brown on. It's still warm, of course. Browns are warm, but it's worth experimenting with some of these things. The colors. I usually use pink, and this is kind of pinky, but it's different kind of quality of color. It's darker, and it might look good against the greens. So we'll let this dry, and then on to the next step. So I laid in just a few things, a couple of things in the sky. I purposely left a little bit of warmth up in that sky, didn't cover the whole thing up. And I might emphasize the whites a little more later on. And I've painted all this foreground yellow, even though I want to go over most of that with green. It's nice to have that undercoat showing off there. So, and I like the way the pencil looks with the paint. I should try to exploit that a little more. Maybe not in this one, but maybe in some others. So we'll see how this finishes up. So I did a little more. And this is, I'm using the acrylics today. And I guess on purpose, I'm leaving the acrylics rather dry in the pad here, in the plastic container. You have to be careful about doing that when you store them, because they'll just dry out on you quickly, and then you have nothing to work with next time. But it is nice while you're working that they're not too wet. I mean, you add water as you need it. I don't use mediums, I just use water for the most part. When I use panels, sometimes I use mediums for the early part. But it's nice to have the thick paint, and it's easier to mix, and you can mix more accurately. Now at this stage, I'm looking at this foreground and thinking it'll look really nice with some pencil work, so I might do some of that. And I need to do a little bit of green in the extreme foreground. Oh, and I lost my little bit of brown in the middle ground, so I'll reassert that too. So on to that. And I'm going to leave it here. A lot of things done in the last maybe 5-10 minutes, where I'm adding a dot, a dash, a little tiny mixed color with a small brush, and you can easily kill the expression of marks that are already laid down when you do that. So I put some of them in and I wiped some of them out, and I think I'll just leave it now. I'm not going to do any more. I sprayed the palette a little bit to keep it for next time, and when I get home I'll spray a little bit of 70% rubbing alcohol on that to keep the mold off this before during the interim before I get to the next painting. So we'll see you next time.